Okay, well, it's very nice to see you. And I often go to China, and I follow Australia-China relations. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And today I want to make 3 points. Main points are 3 of them, and then I'll elaborate on the second and third one, which really link into the first one. The first one is that China matters. It matters for Australia. It's very important. I think it is our most important relationship. I know you can argue about whether it's the most important or one of the most important, but for me it's the most important, and that's my first point. The second point is that we should reduce our reliance on the United States, because I think we are too prone to do what the United States does. I think that it's not, our relationship with the United States is not one of absolute reliance, but I think it is a bit too reliant, and I think it would be better if we reduced it. And the third point I want to make is that the recent wave of xenophobia is excessive, and I think we should be very, very careful about that and try and do something to counter it. Now, as far as the US, the first one about China matters, I think I will leave aside because the rest of it also feeds into that. The second point about the relationship with the US, I think that's a very important point because the US, what the US does, we tend to follow, and I think we follow it a bit too much. I think that we should try and reduce it. Recently there was a speech made, a book in fact written, in which he finished by saying we should have more independence and less relations with the United States and more relations with Asia, and I will say specifically China. Can I elaborate a bit about the United States? I mean, we've had this now for a long, long time, since September 1951, in fact, the ANZUS Treaty was signed. During that time, it's been mostly, we've followed the United States in terms of what China does, in terms of what other things do too. But now, as China is our main trading partner. It's been our main trading partner for a while now. And it continues to grow. Our trade with China continues to grow. And this year it has continued to grow over last year. And that's a good thing in my opinion. And I think it's worth noting that because of our trade with China, that meant that when the global financial crisis came along in 2007, 2008, when we were affected less than most places were because of our good relations with China and because of our high trade with China. And I think that matters. And I think we should continue to do that. Now, recently, and I think very, very worryingly, the United States is starting a trade war with China, and it seems to me it's entirely an American initiative. It's not China's initiative. China doesn't want a trade war. China wants to keep an open trade with other people, with other countries, including us. But the Americans under Trump have started this trade war, and they want to put a lot of tariffs, high tariffs, on other countries, and specifically on China. And they have pursued this and pushed this for several months now, and it seems to be getting very excessive to me. I mean, there is the possibility of Trump and Xi Jinping, the two presidents of those two countries, getting together in Buenos Aires later this month, and I hope that will lead to some kind of easing of tension. But in the meantime, the Vice President of the US, one Mike Pence, has made 2 speeches recently, which I find very disturbing. For example, he made one in the Hudson Institute on the 4th of October. Hudson Institute is in Washington. And during that speech, he was so relentlessly hostile towards China. He blamed China for everything bad that was happening. And it seemed to me that he was trying to, introduce a new Cold War. I mean, he didn't use the term Cold War, but I will, because it seems, I thought that he was introducing policies that reminded me of the 50s, to be honest. He blamed China for everything, and where China was doing a good thing, he took Americans' credit for it. For example, he noted that China had a reform policy and that it had done very well, and that it had risen. China had risen. He said the reason, well, he implied, the reason for that was because the Americans were more now open to China, and he seemed to be saying, well, it's because of the American policy that China has been able to rise. And whereas I would put it a different way, I would say China deserves a lot of credit for that. I mean, of course, it's good for America to be open to China, but I think that the reason why China has risen is the two main things, I would say, are firstly because it's been very well led, especially by Deng Xiaoping and also other leaders, including the present one. I think China's been very well led by policies that have allowed, reform, and which have allowed China to prosper. But the second point I want to make is to give credit to the Chinese people. It seems to me that the Chinese people have been very focused. I mean, I know a lot of these people. I teach there, as well said. I see the way they operate, and it seems to me they've been very focused in working hard and in working in a good direction in a way that is going to make the country rise rapidly, and that's what's happened. And I think that they deserve a lot of credit for that. Now, the other thing that Mike Pence said, but he seemed to think it was all the Americans who were getting the credit. He made a lot of accusations against China. He said that they were interfering in American and other countries' internal affairs and trying to bring down democracy and undermining democratic values, and that they had bad human rights and that their cyber warfare was terrible. They were trying to get control of everything. And he just seemed to think that they were very, very bad news to everybody, and he blamed them for everything that was happening in the world. He said, and I hope that James will elaborate on this, one of the things he said was that they were trying to stamp out Islam. He said they were trying to stamp out Islam. He used the word stamp out. Now, my impression, I went to Xinjiang in August this year, and I must admit, it put out about how the pressure on Islam, but to say that they were trying to stamp it out, and to forget that they had a very big terrorism problem, I think is just completely unfair. And I really think that Mike Pence should get to know a little bit more about the situation and should be a little bit fairer about the situation that he has been. Anyway, that's my main point about the Americans. And this Mike Pence, I mean, he matters because if Trump is impeached and is falls, which is, I don't know what's going to happen in America. I find it difficult to read that political situation. But if something happens with Trump, Mike Pence will be the president. And I think that is very bad news, especially when he seems to be so focused on being hostile to China. And I really don't like that one little bit. And I think we should not be following in that kind of direction. Australia should be following a different direction, and it should be reducing its dependence on the United States. Now, I mean, you can look at a few things and say that, in a way, it has been doing that. I mean, we're not quite as hostile to China as Pence seems to be. And there are some signs. I mean, for example, when Julie Bishop was the foreign minister, she's not now, of course, because we seem to change the government quite a lot, even with the same party in power. When she was the foreign minister in August, and there was a congressional leader in America who called on Australia to carry out what they call FONOS, that is freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea, because he thinks that this man in America thinks that the Chinese shouldn't be in the South China Sea, and they should be allowing freedom of navigation. The reality is, which I could go into, but I'm not going to, I don't have time to go into it. The thing is, the reality is that the Chinese don't mind if it's commercial dealings, that they certainly do not like military vessels going through that area because they claim to be. Anyway, when this man in America to carry out these freedom of navigation operations, she responded by saying she wouldn't do that, and Australia had never done that, and wasn't going to start now. And she thought she was quite defiant, and I was very glad to hear that. More recently, Maurice Payne, who is the present Foreign Minister, she went to China, and she seemed to take a more conciliatory view towards China. But I mean, of course, then there's a whole lot of other areas where they're not taking a conciliatory view, like this question of the Huawei, you know, forbidding the investments on the Huawei because they think that it's a security danger to Australia. Well, I mean, I suppose my response to that is, of course, Australia has to look after its national interests, but I think it should treat China as a kind of friend and not as a country that can be trusted. That's how I regard it. And I think we should regard it as and to say, well, it's a security threat if we have Huawei in our network, that seems to me to be showing a lack of trust. And I personally don't support that kind of view. Now, that's all I've got to say about the American. What I get from all that is that I think we should be reducing our dependence on the Americans. It's not that I think we should cut off that ANZUS treaty. We don't need to do that. We do, like New Zealand, we can reduce our dependence and we can be more independent in foreign policy. Now, how much more time have I got to do? This is my third one. Couple of minutes. The third point I want to make is about this recent Sinophobia. Since in June last year, 2017, there was a Four Corners program, which some of you may have seen, and which blamed China for a lot of things, and said that China was trying to interfere in our internal affairs, and in particular blamed the Chinese students. China is now our main source of international students, and I personally hope that will go on being the case. But this program suggested that a lot of the students were being primed by the Chinese government to try and stir up trouble. And there was a book by Clive Hamilton, came out in March this year, which said in very specific terms, it's all part of a big plot by the Chinese Communist Party to undermine Australian democracy. Well, look, all I can say is that I know a lot of these students. I think they're much more concerned. I think most of them do support the Chinese Communist Party. I think also that some of them are quite careful what they say when they're in Australia. But I think that the suggestion that they're part of a big front to undermine Australian democracy is just nonsense. I have seen no sign of that. I think it's quite a ridiculous proposition. And I also think that it's quite dangerous for people to make that. Of course, we need to have freedom of speech. I think it's okay for people to write books of this sort, but I just think it is a pity that they have done this, and I think that it should be countered in a big way, because I just don't think that China is trying to undermine this. I think on the contrary, the main threats of undermining are probably more the other way. In other words, that the US wants to undermine the Communist Party, and I think maybe James will say a bit more about that later. So, since I've only got a minute, is a minute all right? Maybe I'll come to the conclusion, because I think I've elaborated on the 3 points that I want to make. The first point, which is the main one, is fed into by the other two. and that is that China is very important for a important relationship for Australia, and we should, I think we are in this region. We can't ignore China. We should be trying to make good friends with it by being more independent and by reducing our dependence on the US. Because we're moving into an era where it looks as if the Americans want to start a new Cold War. And I think this business of Mike Pence's speech and the fact that he said the same things again in Port Moresby, you know, when they had that APEC meeting just the week before weekend before last. I think last weekend, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, and I thought that was quite dangerous the way he's going on. And I think that that should guide our thinking that it's important for us to get on with China. And I really hope that this Sinophobia that I'm seeing around me now will die down, because it's just not good. And I mean, there have been researches that's been done which shows that there's been a rise in these bad incidents. I mean, they're not big demonstrations and things like that, at least not yet. I hope that will never happen. But I think it's good if we have a harmonious society in which the Chinese people are important. After all, they've got a right, the Chinese students have got a right to have their point of view, just like everybody else. And I think we should be doing everything we can to stop this Sinophobia, and because China matters to us. And that's all I've got to say.